Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Till Choice Do Us Part.
My name's AKEISHA. This is Clayton if you haven't been with us lately. And today's conversation is about working as entrepreneurs with or without your partner. It was a conversation that came up in a bit of an interview that I did on with Awake Abroad co-founder or Awake Abroad Media's co-founder Jasmina Lopez. And I thought I would ask Clayton if he wanted to talk about this one because this is something that we are not perfect at, but it is something that we are constantly coming to each other with questions, tapping in, sometimes getting a little frustrated, sometimes, high-fiving each other because we were aware of it and we were doing really well in this area. And this area is balancing, or not balancing, because balancing means you have to take from something, but really creating a well-roundedness between entrepreneurship and marriage, partnership, union, whatever it is, and that stickiness that can come around when you're working in the house all the time, sometimes with your partner, sometimes not. So
Yeah, I mean, just being able to balance and not, like you said, not balance, but be aware
we'll use
of,
the word balance for sake of ease of conversation.
yeah, but being able to come out of a work day, we're both in the process of building our businesses that are kind of in the same field. We're kind of doing a little bit of the same thing, but at the same time, they're very different and in different lanes. And so we're each going through our own paces with our journey. And there are, of course, frustrating days. And there are, of course, days where we have lots of wins. But to be able to pull ourselves out of our business, because we both work within the household. So if we're coming and going into the common space, trying not to come into it bringing negative energy from something if we're frustrated with it, if we're not having a good day, or if something's bothering us, to check that not at the door, because we're not able to like leave our workplace really and go drive home and cool off our thoughts and come home to each other in a common space. Like, we are working in our common space. We do have separate offices for now, but that's going to be changing over time as we travel and go about our little journey. And so we could be working even in tighter quarters than we are now, and really making sure that we're checking ourselves on our attitudes towards each other and with each other, and making sure that we're not reacting out of the state of which we were operating within our business and coming back into our creationship together in our daily lives, and separate that from our business.
Yeah, so sometimes this looks like also being aware of when you're working. So I mentioned this in the chats in the interview that if you had a regular 9 to 5 and your partner kept bringing work home, kept bringing work home, kept bringing work home, with working extremely late hours, not really spending time with the family, missing things because they were working.
Literally bringing work home, doing
You,
homework.
yeah, you'd get pissed. Like, there's no relationship, marriage out there that doesn't bring things home or things are in the house. And so navigating that, I didn't grow up with an understanding of that. So this is something that I'm creating like in the moment. But
And it's also not something that we're perfect at.
we're
It
not
is.
perfect at this because
We're both learning.
so if your partner is bringing work home and not really spending time with the family and missing things, and relationships, people get mad at that. That's frustrating. And so for us, it's frustrating when we consistently have like really late nights in a row, or we're not having dinner with each other because we are working. Now, with that being said, this is something that we have to address and chat about constantly, because if you're an entrepreneur, you're not a normal person. Let's just be clear with
Call
that.
it what it is.
Anybody who is a entrepreneur knows that you're not an average person. And if you're running a business, if you're doing the business by yourself in a way, like you don't have a team or anything, you have a lot of roles you play, and you got into business so that you could choose to take a Wednesday off, take a Friday off, take the entire weekend and Monday, Friday, whenever you wanted to, or take a whole week off if you wanted to. So working is very different for each person, and each dynamic. So
And each individual day
and
too.
each individual day could be different. You could be super, booked with clients, but then the next day you're frustrated because something's not working in the editing world. So I think even more so, we have to constantly check in and see, hey, what are our off times? Is it actually beneficial to go work right now, or can we choose to create something different? Or I'm actually in a really good workflow. I'm going to work these hours. And then in the back of the mind, it's still, and I know I'm going to take some time off in a couple of days. For me, it's working with my cycle a lot. End of week 1, beginning of week 2 of my cycle, I'm more like in creation mode. So I'll be filming, I'll be creating content for a lot more time, but then I'm more chill in the last week. But I know that can be really different for him because I'm wanting like more cuddly time, more you me time, but you're in a flow. So I think it can get frustrating. I'm not gonna lie there. It's like, honestly, it can get frustrating.
Yeah, it can be, and there would be a whole nother conversation if we were working on a business together, which we did do for a short period of time. That business has since collapsed, and we have shut that door, and I've taken what was remaining of that business and the idea of that business and moving it into a different model that does not include her participation and us working together, co-working as business partners.
Did you really want to have a business with me? Like, truthfully?
I think it'd be cool to have a business with you. Did I want that business to be the one that was with us? Probably not entirely.
I like what we have going right now where we can complement each other's business. We can complement each other's clients.
Yeah.
If a client has a specific need that's in his niche, I have no problem being like, I actually think you should have a session with my husband. He's like totally into this world of all the things. You have it like you're just kind of built in kind of into the complementary form and vice versa. I think
Yeah.
that is really fun for me, but I will be honest, running a business that's not in my zone of genius, I was a hard no. I did it and I totally support that business and what we've taken from that, but I can tell you it was a no from the get-go for me. I love you.
Yeah, that's fine. And I mean, like I said, that chapter is closed, and we are now doing our own thing in the same sort of lane. We're both, working with people one on one and building an ecosystem. But so as much as it is very similar, we still have to be wary that just because we're in the same house doesn't mean we are in an understanding of where each other are at. If we aren't checking in with each other on a constant basis to let each other know where we're at emotionally, energetically, where's my cup at? Is it
Yeah.
full? Is it my battery running low? Like, where am I at? How am I feeling? Because communicating those things, coming out of workspace into common space and creationship space together in our household, like that needs to be on the forefront so that we know how to communicate best with each other
Yeah.
and not create a hostile environment.
And also asking each other, is there anything I can do to support? Do you need to have a conversation? Do you just need to soundboard something? And I'm not perfect with that. Sometimes you start going off with ideas and I just go into like coach mode and then midway through I'm like, shit, I will be like, pause. Is this something you want my opinion on? Is this something that you want my 2 cents on? Or do you just need to get it out of the system?
Yeah, because sometimes just I need to talk it through and I just need to say it out loud to cement it into my own brain.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool thing because, like, people might be listening to this and be like, well, how does that? How do you work through those things? If you guys aren't perfect yet, what are you doing? And I think the main thing we're doing is we're touching base with each other. Hey, I'm having a really stuck day. I'm probably not going to work enough. I'm probably not going to do any work today. Okay, cool. And then it's also not like you're not working. And like the self, like picking at each other or picking at ourselves, or when we are picking at ourselves, when we fall into like comparisonitis within our own worlds,
Comparisonitis.
we can sense that in each other, and we're like each other's little cheerleaders, but not from a sense of like get off, brush yourself, and like get to work. It's more like, okay, cool. Like
What else is required?
let's dive in and see if we can facilitate each other through. And sometimes it's just like, I need to just be in my pity party for 10 minutes and then I'll come to you. Or it's just like, I just need space. And so I think the more we do that, even though we aren't where I see ourselves to be, I think there's a lot of things to work through personally within our own business growth. But I do think that creating the awareness constantly, and when Acacia has a pissy moment and gets insecure about something, my insecurity comes out in anger. For him not to react because he probably senses that there's something going on.
I didn't cause this, something else caused this.
That's a really key thing, because if you constantly think like, oh, what did I do? It's 9 times out of 10 it's not about you. It's about something else like going on inside, and it was the other day. But yeah, so I'm curious to know, anybody who's watching this, like, what do you do? Do you have a business with your partner? Are you entrepreneurs yourself and you're both running your businesses? And how have you navigated, or what are some tools, what are some check-in questions?
Yeah, some SOPs, if you will.
How often do you do date night? Do you guys do date nights? Do you do dates? Like, is it scheduled? Is it spontaneous?
Yeah,
Like,
do you plan the disconnect from work? Do you have a schedule, or do you communicate it on the fly? How do you switch from work mode into personal mode, and from out of business mode and into husband-wife mode? Like, what are the tricks, and what have other people found that have been successful, I guess?
Yeah.
Things that make for a functioning relationship. No, gracias.
So yeah, drop it in the comments below. We are excited to hear what you guys' experiences are, and we'll see you on the next episode of Till Choice Do Us Part.
And for now, I'm going to show you where we are. Oh, it's so beautiful. Anyways, that's it. We're out. See you on the next one.